Are we good? Are we on? Oh, we're live, Shawn. We're good.
All right.
Happy
Fantastic.
Monday.
Happy Money Monday, everybody. I'm just realizing I don't think I cannot see any of the chat. So it's going to be,
I'm going to
I'm
pull it
gonna,
up right now and I'll be on it for
oh,
us.
now I can. Now I can see it. Got Chris Collins, Chris Michael Rogers, Jessica Mercer. Welcome to Money Monday, everybody. We are giving away $500, I think, today.
We
I don't
are
even have that.
500. Boop, 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 boop,
I'm
boop.
jumping in live from Greenville, South Carolina, while Lacey is back in the home studio. So you'll have to excuse us. Lacey's going to have to take a little bit more of the reins here, running that from the controller. And I believe Patrick McKimblestock is producing today. So he's on all of the graphics and sound effects and holding this down, keeping the show rolling. He'll be picking are we doing five winners, five
We are
hundred
doing
dollars and five winners?
$500. That means 5 names tonight. Listen, I mean, that's a decent chance to win, right? I love it. $500. I really feel like too, if somebody doesn't win tonight, like at $600, I feel like people should be on for tonight. 500, you can do a lot with $500.
Well, some people, as I say, they just don't like money. Tonight is
Mm.
Monday Night Football. I was catching a little bit of that
Oh.
before I jumped on. So we have our very first Monday Night Football. So Money
Mm.
Mondays is going to be competing with Monday Night Football here going forward.
Mm.
And so we have the Broncos and the Seahawks. And this is big because Russell Wilson used to be with the Seahawks, and now he's jumped over with the Broncos, and everybody wants to see what will
What
happen
happens?
there.
Right.
But let's
But
jump
there's so
in for
much
those that
drama
are
right
here.
now in the NFL. Doesn't everybody want to see what's happening, period? Like everybody want to see what happened to Tom Brady yesterday, right? Because of his mindset.
Well, yeah,
And he did great,
well,
just like I
that's
said
true.
he would.
You did. You said he didn't need it. He didn't need that. He was going to put home problems behind him. And Giselle tweeted out though, so who knows if the home problems are behind him or not.
Mm.
But Giselle tweeted out, wished him good luck. And so there could be signs that things are healing
On
up
the mend.
there on the
Mm-hmm.
mend. But yeah, everybody wants to check that out. The Colts struggled greatly. My Pittsburgh Steelers came out of the gates super strong, but then had some woes in the second half and into overtime, pulled it out there at the end. So I'm super excited about that. And yeah, while everybody's jumping on, so great to see everybody commenting here. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you turn on the notifications. We're building up this group here. We're giving away money each and every week on Money Mondays, and we would love to have you to be a part of it. If you want more information about Black Diamond Club, that's how you get your name in the drum. That's right there in front of Lacey. Every single Black Diamond Club member, their name is inside that drum. We have close to 700 names. Tonight, we're drawing out 5 of those names. In order to win, you must be present. So if we call your name, you're going to comment that you're here, and we will send you $500 in cash. And so if you want to know more about that, go to www.blackdiamondclub.com. And listen, BDC marketing matters every week. A few more people join up from the show here. We're really closing in on that sold out spot November 3rd and 4th at the Fountain Blue in Miami Beach. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We've got a lot of great people attending. This people attending in the crowd. But look, there's value there when you have great people sitting next to you. You get to network, make friends, ask them questions. And of course, Lacey and I, we're going to be pouring content into you for 2 straight days. Plus, this is a unique event because we stay an extra day. We'll be there on the 5th, hanging out at the pool, asking or answering any questions that you might have hanging over. So please plan to stay on the 5th, one extra day there at the pool with your brand new friends. That'll be fantastic. And we would love, love, love to have you there. And we're not announcing our last 5 moves challenge anymore because that's over. But I
Yep.
do want to let you know that it was a wild success. People that were a part of the challenge have sent us tons and tons of comments, and we did hit our goals. you know how we roll. We're super transparent. We did a 5-day challenge. We went over the $100,000 market revenue from that challenge. And that's precisely the type of things that we teach you at our workshops. So we don't just do things like Money Mondays and our last 5 moves and host workshops and then teach you something else. Like that's something that happens a lot. You know, you have salespeople that are doing pre-qual calls and pre-qualing people into their own workshops, but then they tell you not to do that when they teach you. Well, that's crazy. Wouldn't you want to just do the same thing that they're actually doing to make their money? Well, that's how we roll. We teach you exactly how it is, what we're doing, and how we're doing it. So, of course, we're going to be talking about how to put together a challenge and how to leverage that challenge to build your list, to create awareness. But then don't forget, of course, we're going to teach you how to leverage the challenge to bring you new clients, just like we have done through our challenge. And so, no more on that. But I do want to announce that we are having a Bright Live. I saw a lot of people saying, "What's Bright Live?" Man, I don't even know how the world works or how the universe conspires. But about a year ago, I got a call inviting me to be a part of this Bright Live community. Ashton Kutcher was integral in putting this whole thing together, the platform together. And so this was long time ago. This was like masterclass,
Yep.
but it
But
was where
live.
they were bringing on experts live. And when you go on to Bright Live, you can see all of the amazing experts. And you and I've been doing this, since the very beginning. And then, of course, life happens. And Bright Live reached out to us, and they were like, "Hey, man, it's like Entrepreneur Week is coming up. So listen, we're hosting a string of Bright Lives, and the next one is coming up this Wednesday. I'm going to be sitting down with Jake Havron, and we're going to be talking about the keys to doubling your profits during a recession. And Jake is an absolute expert in influence. And you guys know that I'm super onto this thing about personal brand and influence. In fact, I think I saw some of the notes. I think we're talking a little bit about influence tonight. Well, look, if you have secured your spot, and spots are limited, there's only 50 spots available. If you have secured your spot, and it's only $25 to attend, so jump on Bright Live right now. Get your spot. You get access to the replay through the platform. The Bright Live platform is amazing. Plus that, look, once you get on that platform, you're going to see all kinds of other really amazing people who are on the platform just absolutely sharing gold nuggets. And listen, if you've never done a Bright Live, these are done live and you are actually able to ask questions. So depending on the size of the audience and what they've curated there, you can jump up on stage with the people and ask questions. This would be a great question for you to be asking myself, Jake Havron. Not sure if we're going to be able to get Lacey on there. I hope Lacey will be with us and ask us questions. It's only $25. You get replays through the platform. After that, we're going to be coming out with a second Bright Live. We're on a string of Bright Lives. We're going to be doing one with David Meltzer. We're going to be doing that together, myself and David Meltzer. And then we're going to wrap it up. Super excited because we're going to be doing a Bright Live. That means, again, like I said, you get to jump on and ask us questions with Michael Chandler right in the middle. Yes, right in the middle of his training camp. So he's training for UFC 281, where he's going to just absolutely beat down Dustin Poirier. But right in the middle of that, he is taking out some time to sit with you. And what we're going to be talking about is how you can begin to determine your next chapter. Listen, I'm an old man. Michael is not that old, but Michael is fighting in what could be potentially be his final run at the title. And I always talk about how impressive he is as a businessman. Well, we're going to talk to you for all of you that are like, maybe I want to do something else or I want to have a side hustle. We're going to be talking to you about his thought process and how he's preparing for that next chapter. Listen, what a string. Jake Havron, David Meltzer, and Michael Chandler, all on Bright Live, all coming at you. Start out by registering with Bright Live for next Wednesdays. This Wednesday's event, $25 would get you a ticket. Hey, man, can't wait to see you guys there.
I mean, we always say, right, your success is determined by the quality of questions that you have. And so for you to be able to pay such a small, I think, fee to be able to ask questions to all of these experts, you would just be crazy to not do that. And if you, as
Well, I
long as
got to
you
tell
do,
you,
go ahead.
well, I got to tell you, Listen, if you want to get into Madison Square Garden for UFC 281 and sit approximately 8.6 miles away from the octagon, that'll cost you $600 just to get inside the venue and watch, teeny tiny Michael Chandler fighting, teeny tiny Dustin Poirier. Hey, listen, for $25, you can get in the virtual room with us and ask questions. Now, I mean, how are we going to stop you from asking UFC questions? We can't. We should
Can't.
probably ask business questions. But yeah, I agree. Just getting in those rooms, that's super valuable. And I hope people will take advantage of that.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's get started tonight.
Well, I had
We have a
something
lot
that
to talk
I
about.
well, I had something I wanted to talk about. Normally, what we do at this point is we start jamming all these like inflation facts at people. But I was thinking about this because one of the inflation facts, that we're 60 days out from the election. You know that I have been talking about this will be the most contentious election in the history of our country.
You've said that for a
I got
long
to tell
time,
you,
for a year. For a year, you've been saying that.
for over a year. But I got to tell you something that I'm seeing here. Um, a lot of people are starting to feel, especially the conservatives are starting to feel like they got this in the bag. I'm
Mm.
seeing lots of talk like, hey man, like, we're going to, a red avalanche is coming. Like we're going to sweep all of that. I got to tell you, you got to pay really close attention to the numbers. That's not what I'm seeing. It's not, and oh, here comes, oh, you absolute idiot. You don't, no. That's just not, it's not what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing that. And so it's gonna ramp up. It's gonna get more contentious. You've
Mm.
got a president attacking the former president, and I said, remember, it's going to be the most contentious election, and there's not even a president on the ballot. But these two guys are already starting to battle, right? And so, boom, here they go. It's starting to ramp up. So, price. One of the things I was seeing is that a lot of people are they're wondering like, how big of a deal is this inflation, right? How big of a deal is this in politics? And the polls that I've been looking at when they're asking people like, how do you feel about this? And this is interesting, right? Because we tricked. I don't know if it was a slip of the tongue or it was done intentionally, where we said we had 0% inflation recently when Biden announced that. What he meant was there's no increase. But now what we're asking is, so look, are you having to make decisions based off of your pocketbook, based off of your
Right.
money? One of the things that, I mean, to put things in perspective, a stat that I heard as well is how many of you watching would be okay with making 1 month's less salary? Like, how many of you would be okay if they just were like, hey, look, we're not going to pay you in December or just whatever, October, no October, and we'll pick it up in November? Most people would not be okay with that. But what you have to understand is that with inflation, if you've not received a corresponding increase in your salary, that is literally what has happened.
Wow.
You're worth 1/12 less. Your buying power is 1/12 less, and you've basically skipped a month's salary. And so for a lot of people, this is an issue. So
That's
for all of
huge. They
our,
have to make massive decisions to be able to accommodate that.
of course, and so for, even down to like gas or
Right.
groceries. But for all of our viewers, what does this mean to you? Well, when people make decisions based off of price, um, it could be for one of two reasons. The first reason is because they don't have money, right? So I don't have enough money, so I have to make a decision. Am I going to buy grass-fed steak, or am I going to buy rice and be able to make it 7 days, or grass-fed steak for 2 days, or decisions like that based off of money? Now, here's what's important: you can't compete with that, right? So if people are making decisions because they have less money, you discounting doesn't help. I mean, we've
Right.
talked about this a lot. Like, that does not helpful to you. But here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that I want people to really understand is that a lot of times people make decisions based off price because you afforded them the opportunity. Here's an example. You walk into to Best Buy and you're like, wow, I want to get one of those portable Bluetooth speakers, right? And so you walk in that aisle, and what Best Buy does is all the Bluetooth speakers are in that one aisle, right? So you're looking at them, and if you're not an audiophile, you're not an expert, you're like, well, look, here's the main thing. I want it to connect to my phone. I want it to play music loud. I guess that's it, right? And so you start to look at these things, and you're like, oh yeah, JBL, I've heard of that. So you play it, you do the little test, and you're like, Bose. Oh, I heard Bose is really good. So then you do that, and then you're like, well, to the amateur, they sound pretty much the same. They're about the same size. They're both really loud, but they're right next to each other. So the natural comparison point is price. If I feel like they're about the same size, do about the same thing, price comparison is natural. So everybody does that. I mean, you just do that because that's how we're programmed. So here's the thing for everybody. When I was reading this data about are you being affected by price and seeing people that are like, yes, this is affecting my travel, this is affecting vacation plans, all the areas that get affected. I think, okay, so those are people who are being affected because economics and nothing we could do about that. But what that also means, because the reason why I'm thinking this is because we're talking in percentages. And what we're saying is that it's not the overwhelming majority. So what that means is there's a lot of people who responded in the negative. Like, no, I mean, not, I'm not celebrating, but I'm not really making decisions, cutting things back because of pricing. So here's the tip for me from today. What you need to do is you need to eliminate the reason for people to price shop. Now, there's a couple of ways that we could do that, but what we need to do is not be standing. This is what happens. You have one service, massage, another service, massage. They're both done in 60-minute increments. And to me, as the consumer, they're relatively the same. Therefore, the natural thought is, let me compare price, right? It just makes sense. So what we need to do is we need to eliminate their ability to compare price by talking about what makes us so unique. And, you and I have been talking about that for probably the past, 3
Weeks.
weeks now.
Yep.
So being unique will make it difficult to quantitatively value what it is. For example, I say I do, I'm just making this up just for fun to engage the audience here, but I do underwater massage. Well, now I can't compare that to the 60-minute Swedish massage option because I've never even heard of this before, underwater massage. I have no point of comparison. I cannot quantitatively compare. I look on the internet, nobody else does underwater massage. This is so unique that now price no longer becomes an option. I know that when we put this content out about unique selling proposition, it's not new, we didn't invent it, but so many people struggled with it. And we said, if you don't know and you cannot clearly articulate your USP, you cannot market your service. But let me tell you another thing. If you don't know and cannot clearly market your USP, you are inviting quantitative price comparisons with everybody else who's equally not unique with you. So what we can do is begin to understand the uniqueness of our business, and that can begin to stand us out from everyone else. And we can, in fact, eliminate the ability to price compare so that we just become a natural choice if you wanted that unique thing that we were doing. So again, I want to invite everybody to look into that once again. And hey, I'm going to turn it over to you for the principal part here, because one of the most unique things was Queen Elizabeth II, and a very unique thing that happened, very tragic. A lot of people very sad, especially our friends. I saw Anchor Tayal on here. Anchor just recently moved out to Edinburgh, where the Queen was celebrated a lot today. I was seeing a lot of videos. I was looking for Anchor and Ross McDonald there. But yes, the Queen was very unique, and the passing of the Queen is a unique situation, and that we're all observing this. So let's talk about some things that we might learn from the Queen as far as business is concerned.
Yeah, I love it. I was reading a ton of articles. People are putting out a lot of content about the Queen and some of her particular things that she would do that made her stand apart and made her be such a phenomenal leader for the past 70 years. And so I read a ton of articles, and I picked probably the top 5 things that I think are relevant and pertinent to this group in particular. But before we get started, I think I should have Pat come over here and pick 5 names so I can at least say one of the names. Maybe we have our winner right away, but we're going to have Patrick Kimball come over here.
Early on, you're going to do this. Okay.
Well, look, we're halfway through, so I think that he should spin. Pat, say hi in the camera. Hi. we We've had fun today.
Patrick McKimblestock. Good to see you.
So this is like this brings Pat back. This is where this came from. This is like OG. Don't let anybody see,
Oh
and don't you
yeah.
can't
Oh
look.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because if
name
they
number.
see, here's the thing, and good thing I have this viewpoint because if
Ooh.
they see, then what they can call, right? So I don't want anybody calling your friend because you
Yep,
saw your
that's the
friend's name.
thing. We got
Make sure
name number
you make
four.
sure
Give me
you
one
keep
more.
that.
I need five just in
If I
case.
can see the name, I'm going to rule it ineligible.
Okay. All right.
I never had this view.
Did
I
you
never
see
had
any?
this
Because we
vantage
got
point.
five.
No, I didn't
Say
see.
bye,
All
Pat.
right, I never saw a name. Pat's got
All
fat
right.
fingers though. Good job, Patrick
Thanks,
McKimblestock.
Pat. All right. All right. I know a couple of these names. Some of these people are new. Some of these people have been in BDC for a little bit. A little bit. Okay. Are we going to do name number one? Are you ready with that timer?
Oh dang.
All right.
Man, there's only
Patty
68
Ice,
people right
everybody.
now.
Everybody saying hi, Pat. Oh, look at all the hi Pats. All right, everybody. Name number one. Dave Aitken. Is that how you say it? Dave Aitken. Dave, are you on? You've got 23 seconds if you are on. Pat
Hey,
is the
somebody put that in the
man.
chat.
What? Somebody
I
put that in
couldn't
the
even
chat.
understand what you said. Dave
Dave
Aiken?
Aitken. Dave Aitken.
Dave Aiken.
Aitken. Did I say that right?
Oh, Atkin.
Atkin. Dave Atkin. Like Atkins?
Atkin. Okay, yeah, like Atkins.
That's Chris
Atkin.
Collins' buddy. Whoa, Dave. Oh, he's probably not
Come
here.
on. Okay.
Chris Collins must
Dave
have referred
Atkin.
him in. See? People know him. People know who he is. Aw, Dave. Chris, you gotta let him know. You've gotta let him know that his name was pulled tonight. Shawn hates when I fold these. I unfolded it, babe. I did. I unfolded it. Let him know that tonight.
Yeah, because
well,
everybody
Shawn,
knows the reason why I
my
hate it.
pronunciation was correct. I was right. Thank you.
Oh, A-I-T. Aitken.
Yes,
Aitken.
correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
A-T.
All right. So one of the things, tell Dave hi. Tell him sorry. Lost out on $500. All right.
Dang,
oh, again, we can't be negative.
$500.
He
I'd have a
decided to
great
pass
dinner
on the
tonight.
opportunity. And you know what? Maybe Dave's making great money doing something else right now. You never know. You never know.
Very important. He won. He is a winner.
He is a
Dave
winner.
won. He just didn't claim his prize, right?
That's right.
Unclaimed money happens all the time. This is just unclaimed money. You need to
Unclaimed
show up
money.
to claim it, but your name was drawn, which makes you a winner.
Yes. Going back to the Queen, one of the things that I read that really resonated with me that I love is there was an article that stated that she was really good about always being like very, very positive. And one of the things is that she stood not for what the nation fought over, but what they agreed upon. And I read that line and I thought that was so profound. I mean, what a great statement. So many times I think in business, oftentimes what we stand for, our belief systems, our philosophy, we get so from the rooftops and loud about it that oftentimes that can be pushing people apart when in fact there's a lot of things that we agree upon with other people that we aren't loud about, right? And I think that we have a tendency to get loud about things that can be slightly polarizing in business, especially because we are opinionated, versus sometimes saying, what are some things that as individuals, as members of the community, people that I serve, what are some things that we truly agree upon? What are some things that we can talk about, that I can scream about and be loud about, that other people will resonate with and that will bring us closer together? So I just thought that was a really interesting concept, that she, no matter what, she did this regardless of her personal beliefs, her family beliefs, and the cultural challenges that she had. She came out of the gate and she said, what is my nation about? What is my country about? What do they agree upon? And I'm going to stand for that, and I'm going to stand for it strongly. And I thought that from a business lesson, from a business standpoint, that's something for you to think about, especially when you're putting your messaging out there.
Well, yeah, you got to remember, first of all, I just want to stress, two things that you said that I don't want people to take lightly. Number one is 70 years. Man, that's longer than I've been on the planet. It's longer than most of you have been on the planet. And, to think of the adaptations that had to have been made in order to stay relevant. And I think that's one of the
Yes.
things that a lot of people wonder is like, now what will King Charles be able to stay relevant? Because people are kind of like, well, maybe it's time to just, put this, charade away. And so that was number one, 70 years. That's absolutely incredible. And so what I also wanted to point out in there is that in that 70 years, like how much personal strife, family conflict. Now, of course, we're embroiled in, Meghan Markle and all of that that's going on. But listen, that's not new. I mean, it's new,
No.
that particular thing, but conflict in that family that's living basically under a microscope and being headed by the matriarch, Queen Elizabeth. That's pretty dang impressive. And not only that, what about all of the cultural changes that we've just as us and we've lived through in our lifetimes? All of the leaders, the changes in governments, the restructuring of maps, equality, all of these things, diversification, and she still managed to keep up with that and stay relevant. I think that's super impressive, and I love your point that how she did that was she stood for what the nation agreed upon, rather than finding the
The
conflict
pain
points.
points, the conflict. Yeah.
And I gotta say that's I think that in 2022, that's the most popular thing is to pick the conflict points
Right.
and not the points that we agree on.
Really interesting though that you were talking about all of the things that she lived through because I saw the other day when it showed that she was born in 1926. And it was such it was a moment for me because my dad was born in 1927. And being born in 1927, I remember all the stories that he told me about what life was like when he was growing up. I mean, how drastically different it was for him to live through the times that he lived in. So I can imagine the same thing for her. And I'm just going to fast forward a moment because point number 5 that I chose was embrace change. She was
Hmm.
really, really phenomenal at embracing change. In fact, she said in a quote somewhere, she said, the way we embrace it becomes our future. And I think that's exactly the point that you were hitting on and that you were talking about is her ability to adapt and embrace change from 1926 to where we are today and what she has seen and what the world has gone through and all the changes that have occurred. Her ability to embrace it is really what allowed for the future of her country and her leadership. So I think oftentimes in business too, like we have difficulty embracing change. We get stuck on old concepts. We get stuck on old ideas. We get stagnant on old belief systems because of the way we were taught before. And we don't adapt to not just the changes of the outside environment and external environment, but we also don't adapt and change in our internal environment inside our businesses. And so I think one of the things, if you're like, man, I need to make sure that I'm constantly evolving, I'm constantly growing, I'm scaling my business, one of the number one things that you need to do is always reassess and ask yourself, am I embracing change? Right? Am I adaptable in my business? We talked a lot about that with the specific chiropractic centers over our team meeting this weekend. If we don't have the ability to adapt to the world and how it's shifting and changing, then our businesses will be lost in the shuffle, right? And so you need to look at in your business and do an audit every once in a while of which systems have I had for way too long that haven't had an overhaul, that haven't had a shift, that haven't been redone, because some of you have old, antiquated ways of doing things and saying things and teaching things that are actually stopping your ability to get to the next level. So embracing change is super important.
Well, I was talking to somebody today too that you think about all of the micro adjustments that are made when for example, sending a spaceship into space. It's constant micro adjustments, and failure to make those micro adjustments can end up with a trajectory that's amazingly off course. And one of the
Yeah.
things I talk about too is, look, if you've ever heard me talk about Pendulum, or just read the book Pendulum,
Yes.
Roy Smith. You can find that on Amazon. It's a little bit of a deeper read, but it also depends on timing. And so that for me is one of the interesting things that when you talk about embracing change. if you understand the concept of pendulum is that we're on these like 40-year arcs. So 20 years down to neutral, and then 20 years up to the pinnacle, and then 20 years down, and then 20 years up. And the next pinnacle is actually 2023. It's coming up next year. But here's my point to this is if I started my business in 2013, I'd have 10 years to the pinnacle, and then 10 years back to 2033, which is basically, right, it's the same spot, right? I went here to there. So in a 20-year run, things change across a 10-year span, and it kind of came back in a 10-year span, and I ended up kind of where I was. But if I started my business today, everything about it's going to be different. For the next 40 years, we're on this constant slide of change. And so the amount of adjustments that are going to need to be made, say from this point forward, are way higher than the amount of adjustments that needed to have been made, say, 10 years ago to today.
Absolutely.
And then from today to that, back to that next 10-year run. So it kind of depends on where you are on that arc as well.
All right, I only have 3 points left. And because we still have 4 names to pick, Patrick, are you ready with the timer? I've got name number 2. And actually, this person has been in BDC, I think, for a while. I think.
Let's do it.
If memory serves me correct. Ready? Pete Braglia. Pete? What?
Braglia? Pete Braglia?
No, is that wrong? God, why are these names so hard the last couple of weeks? How would you say that? Pete Braglia.
Some crazy names out of there.
Pete Braglia. Come on, Pete Braglia. Who knows Pete? Why is Pete not on here?
Here's what I'm going to suggest.
What are we going to suggest? Because he's only got 7 seconds left. Pete.
No, not
Pete. Yep. I feel like it's like, you're right. Bueller. Yeah, everybody's picking on my name pronunciation. I feel like I'm on point tonight.
You might be. I think that what we should do, maybe we could figure out a way to put their names up on there, because then so here's, I don't want someone to say, oh, I didn't answer, because that's not how you say my name.
Yeah, Pistol, where are you at? See, some people know Pete. All right, Pete. I'm sorry, Pete.
Pistol
All
Pete
right,
Braglia.
But Pete, you allowed 3 other people to get a chance.
Okay, 3 more shots at $500 tonight.
I know, and I'm hoping somebody's on, because I don't know if I recognize these names as well. I knew those first 2, but okay, all right. Point number 3, because
how do people know? Like, I just have to say this too. Like, whenever all of a sudden we're drawing money, I notice like the view count goes up. Like, is everybody like texting, and then everybody shows up? Or how does that happen?
Yeah, people are like, man, that $500 is still up for grabs. I don't know.
All right, go talk some more, and let's drop the view count down.
Or maybe they like the content tonight. I don't know. They probably like the money more. Okay, point number 3. One of the things that she was all about was being a great example. And one of the fundamentals that she stood upon was that influence and example are better than power. So imagine that the queen for 70 years actually valued being a good example and having great influence versus utilizing power. And I think that says a lot about her character and who she was, but I think that it's a really important thing to think about relative to your business. Because I think especially as service providers, we talk about that a lot. Like, if we're trying to have conversations about, philosophies around care or the service that we provide or the lifestyle that we live, man, the first thing that you need to do is lead by example. And we talk about that a lot. You don't want to, exercise your power over people and make people feel stupid for the choices that they've made. That's a power move, right? And that doesn't serve anybody. That doesn't move people in the right direction. That doesn't create a movement, right? And if it does, it creates movement out of fear, which over time would never be a benefit to the people that we take care of. So I think about, you should in your business say, how does my business lead by example? And does it currently? And if I don't feel like it leads by example, and me as an individual and as a service provider, how can I begin to shift that? Like, I think being intentional, like actually being intentional about the example that you're trying to create, I don't think we think about it enough. But saying, this is the example I'm trying to be, and then saying, what are the things that I do in my business that line up with that and push that forward? Yes, Shawn, you're up.
Yes, thank you. No, I just wanted to add there. I want to
Okay.
retie in point number one because
Okay.
I know the tendency because you're like, yeah, lead by example. So here's what happens is then oftentimes what we do is we pick the conflict point and then we're like, yeah, that's why I wear, t-shirts that say you guys are dummies because I lead by example. That's why, right. So we get confused with taking a stand with
Sure.
leading by example on points that we already agree on. That's super important because it
That's
wasn't
good.
leading by example on the crazy stuff. It was, back to point number one, she also found a way to unify.
And I also think leading by example is not a verbal thing. It's not like necessarily through your
Right.
messaging. It's an action, right? And I think
Yeah.
that that's what's really important to recognize about this is what actions are you taking when people are silently watching you, right? And is that the example that you want to create? Because again, I think that's important, especially in the service world, if we're trying to move people to make certain decisions and empower them to make decisions relative to having a better life and the choices that they make. That means that you need to lead by example. So again, think about this as it relates to your business. What example is your business being, and you in particular, and how can we just make sure everything that you do aligns with that? Yes, Chris,
Love it.
people are silently watching you. Some people are loudly watching you, but most people are silently watching you. So we'll just go there. Number 3, develop your sense of purpose. Probably, I think every article that I read about the Queen talked about her sense of purpose and that she sat upon a purpose far greater than herself, which she was a queen, so makes sense. But that was her country, right? And I think that, a lot of what I read was that everything that she did, every decision she made, everything that she did, everything from, again, leading by example, all the way to the way that she dressed was all because of the purpose that was bigger than herself. They talk a lot about the Queen and how she always wore really bright clothes because she wanted to be seen. And so imagine that you are
I,
the Queen and you want to be seen. That means that you are actually asking people to watch your every single move. That means that you are showing up big every single time too. I thought about that. I said, wow, what a big, bold statement to be like, look at me. I'm so confident in my ability to show up in the right way and represent my purpose, represent my country, that I'm going to dress so brightly and so loudly that you're going to watch. I thought that was pretty
I
impressive.
was I wanted to add that as a bonus because I saw the notes. Glad you brought that up because that's two things. One, marketing. So here's what the Queen knew. Here's what the Queen knew that what stands out gets remembered. What stands out gets
Love it.
remembered. The Queen knew this. And so she knew that in a crowd, she wanted people to be able to know who the Queen was. So she
Yes.
always dressed in these brightly colored clothes. But here's the second part. This is what you're saying, just repeating it. If you are going to stand out, because what stands out gets remembered, because you are going to reflect a purpose, people are going to look at you. Here's the hard part. That's always, right? So there was no
Yeah.
off days for the Queen because the
There
Queen
was no
understood what
not
stands out
showing
gets
up.
remembered.
There was no having attitude. There was no misstepping or, saying something that she later regretted. Like she had to show up every day.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. I thought that was a good point. Okay, I'm gonna do one more name because there was a lot of bombs dropped right there. So I hope that we are dropping this bomb with this name to give them $500 because that would
Okay,
that would be what
we're gonna have a $500 winner right here. I can
we
tell
are gonna
as
have a
long as we can
$500
pronounce the
winner
name.
right here. This name, I think I said this perfectly. Riley Klassen. Riley Klassen, are you
Clausen.
on?
See, I think
Come
it's
on, Riley.
Clausen. No, I think it's Clausen.
Klassen? Like the
Riley
pickle?
Clausen. I'm going
Clausen?
Clausen. Yeah, I'm going Clausen on this.
Golly, I was like Jimmy Clausen. Oh, okay, you guys in
See,
your
that's
you guys in your sports references. I feel it. I feel it. Balm, somebody said. What's balm mean? Like bomb, but balm? That's a balm. I like that. Riley Clausen, like the pickle. I don't know. Riley. Oh, Riley. Oh.
I hope the next name is Jim Smith. Like we just have like Jim.
Help me out here tonight. Like I got like Pat over in the corner. I'm like, can you give me some help? Can you give me some like pronunciation
Stephen
help?
Jones. Let's have that. Stephen Jones is the next
Stephen
name.
Jones. John Brown. Okay.
Who told you to put the balm on?
Who told you to put the balm on? Okay. All right. The last point, number 5, is I think let me see just how this was said, and I really like this. I just got to find it because sweeten the self-talk. I thought that was really interesting. One of the quotes that I read that she said I don't know if she said it multiple times, but I read it multiple times in a lot of different things is that her quote was, I find that I can often put things out of my mind which are disagreeable. What a queen-like thing to say too. If it's disagreeable, I just put it out of my mind. What such a simple concept. I mean, we talk about this all the time, that your mindset is one of the primary components that dictate your ability to be successful. That's successful in relationships. That's successful in business. That's successful with the way that you manage your money. That's successful in the way that you talk to yourself. Like it's all about your mindset. And she literally just said, I find that I can often put things out of my mind which are disagreeable. How I wish it were so easy. That sounds disagreeable to me. I shouldn't talk to myself that way. Be gone. Right? We know it's not that easy. We know that we have a lot of negative self-talk that we have to overcome. We know that we have a lot of limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves. We know that we have a lot of stories that we tell ourselves of why we can't have something, why we can't reach our goal, why we can't do that, why we aren't like other people, right? And I think that if we could just land on, it's much simpler than that. Like if it's not right, it's not agreeable to the person that you want to be. It's not agreeable to the goals that you set out for yourself. It's not agreeable to the relationships that you want to be in. Why can't we just let it go? Why can't we just put it out of our mind? And I would love to be able to figure out how to simplify the mindset and the self-talk to where it's just so sweet every day that it allows your ability to grow. So one of the things is, and we talk about this a lot, is you need to be able to recognize the negative self-talk that you are having and face it, number 1. And then number 2, work to figure out if it's through an alarm clock, if it's accountability with others, if it's writing an affirmation statement that goes up on your mirror every day. I don't care what it is. It's what you need to sweeten that self-talk so that you are not creating limitations in yourself. It's tea time, baby. Be gone. So, better self-talk. I love those things, that she really stood for things that people agreed upon in a world where everybody is trying to be polarizing. I love that she led by example and influence. I love that she had a crazy sense of purpose. She embraced change, and that she was able to just say be gone to the things that were disagreeable in her mind. And if we could take those things and put them into our businesses, into our mindset, into our lifestyle, maybe we could all be a little bit more crown worthy, I guess. That's what I got. Those were my points today. I hope that you take those and do something with them. And on that note, I have 2 names left. This one I'm actually very excited about because I feel very comfortable in saying this. And Shawn Dill, you will figure out why. Are we ready for name number 4 for the $500 drawing? That person is Dana Dilling. I feel like Dana Dilling. Dana Dilling. Pat's dancing over there. So it's not just me being crazy. Dana is here. The one name I said super well. Dana, you won $500. I'm so excited. Dills unite. I love it. I love it. Everybody's so excited for you, Dana. Oh my God, that's awesome. Because you know what? And Dana, I'm so happy. Dana, I'm so happy because I could not say this next name very well. So Dana, I'm glad we got to stop there. I hope that you all had amazing time tonight. You love the content. I hope that you learned some lessons from the Queen and you could put those in your business. And Dana, Luke will be reaching out to you to get you $500. I hope that you do something amazing and wonderful with it. We love and appreciate you. Shawn, you got anything else?
All right, everybody. Congratulations, Dana. $500 winner. That is so awesome. We reset the pot back to $300 next week, drawing 3 names. Hey, make sure you tell your friends. Get registered for that Bright Live. We'll see everybody back here next week.